Are your kitchen and bathroom way overdue for a remodel? Well, I got the guy for you. Call John Sellers at First Response Contracting, 484-256-7136. Both residential and commercial services, and he's licensed and insured. Call him at 484-256-7136. First Response Contracting. Hello, this is Brad Weisman, and you're listening to Real Estate and You. We come up with all kinds of topics, do all kinds of things on this show. And today I got somebody from really far away. I have Aaron Norris, and he is from Los Angeles, California. He does all kinds of public speaking. He's the Vice President of Market Insights at PropertyRadar, and he's going to tell you all about what he does. And I'm going to check and see if he's on the phone here. Aaron, are you there?
I'm here.
Sweet, sweet. Look, technology actually does work. Isn't that amazing?
Technology can't live with it, can't live without it.
That's so true, so true. So, Aaron, I just want to tell you right off the bat, I don't know you from anywhere. We got connected. I think this is funny about this is we got connected through a third party that I guess helps to get podcast people together. Is that right? Yeah, and I'm it's almost like a podcast agent, and I'm like a unicorn. I'm creative and data-driven at the same time, so I'll be your unique technology play for the year. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I'm looking at your resume or your website, whatever you want to call it, and you are involved in a lot of different things. You have this company right now called PropertyRadar. You have the Norris Group. You were doing this cocktail party statement thing. Then you did Exhibit. Before that was Exhibit U. I mean, I'm looking at the diversity of what you do. Plus, you do your own podcast. You do your own live streaming. You know, you're doing a lot. You're out there.
Yeah, I grew up, my first experience flipping houses was at 5-year-old with my dad, sucking up cockroaches off the wall as the family was peeling back the carpet.
Nice. That sounds fun.
Somewhere along the line, I was like, that's not for me. I was a professional artist based in New York City in my 20s. So got to tour the world as a professional artist, and by chance got a gig working on Wall Street doing acquisition and merger presentations at night. And I really loved it. I learned so much about marketing and branding. Long story short, my body fell apart as a gymnast and a dancer based out of New York City, and I came back to California to help a family member with an illness. And I fell into marketing and PR, got my MBA, and ultimately ended up working for my father in the family business of hard money. So for the last 15 years, I've been a real estate investor, a hard money lender in California and Florida, and a content producer helping sort of bridge the divide in technology in the real estate sector. I just love this industry. Yeah. It's changed my family's trajectory in many generations, so I'm very passionate about the space.
Very cool. And there's one thing that you said in there that might not resonate for everybody. Hard money. Tell me what hard money is.
Yeah, it's actually very easy money, but hard money, specifically in the real estate investor space, is private capital for investors who are doing fix and flipping. Yeah. So they're business purpose loans. So the more it smells like pee, the more you talk to me. That's a little quick down and dirty. And it's really meant for people or properties that don't look great on paper.
Gotcha.
So, houses that are burned down or need a lot of work, have mold. And how I fell into PropertyRadar, I've known Sean for over a decade. The Norris Group produces an event called I Survive Real Estate. It's a fundraiser where this year we're crossing the $1 million mark for charity.
Yes, I saw that.
We bring together thought leaders from all over the industry, and Sean was our most requested guest. He is the nerd that sort of brings technology trends forward into our space. He created PropertyRadar to give small businesses access to the data using public records to connect with customers. Yeah. So we're going nationwide this year, and he completely changed the game in our industry on the West Coast. And my job is to help small businesses kick some major butt.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And what's interesting is that this whole data-driven world, and I'm a Keller Williams agent, so Gary Keller is very, very driven by data and protecting our data and being able to use our data. And he says that basically whoever owns the data owns the business. And it sounds like a lot of what you guys are doing. So tell me more about this PropertyRadar.
Property Radar, the easiest way that I explain it is we work with a lot of people that have real estate-centric businesses. So that's investors, realtors, mortgage professionals, home services, anybody who needs a consistent flow of leads in their pipeline. And it gives access to property, people, mortgage, and distress data. So you can cultivate very interesting niche lists. And you know this, in the real estate game, it's referral-driven.
Yep.
It's very local.
Yep.
And we believe in the hyper-local expert. So if you want to reach 65-year-olds in a specific neighborhood with a property that's, over 50 years old because you have a specific historic niche, this is where we come into play. You don't have to do big farms. You can connect with the people that matter the most and connect with them more often in strategic ways and the best channels to make it happen.
It's kind of like finding the right place to fish. Like, it's funny.
It is.
When I went to Canada a couple of years ago, we had a guide that was, worked. His family was 3 generations working in the Thousand Islands up in Canada. And, it was interesting. I'm not a big fisherman, just so you know. I'm just telling this story because this guy, now you're looking at the Thousand Islands, you're looking at all the water that's there, and you're thinking, how is this guy really going to know where the fish are? I mean, there's just no way. Well, we got in the boat. The guy puts the lure on your thing. You cast it out, and believe it or not, it's incredible. You catch fish all day. And it's because this family knows the Thousand Islands so well that they know where the fish are. So that's kind of what you guys are doing is where the fish are. You're figuring it out through data.
Yep. And if you're new and you don't know who the fish are, that's where the data will guide you. Success leaves clues. So this business is just so fun. And data in Property Radar, there's over 200 fields to search up against.
Oh my gosh.
So when you start looking at demographic data and layering it on top of property data, part of what I teach, it depends on who I'm talking to. So investors, I can cover everything from figuring out a strategic way to contact absentee owners to owner occupants with equity, or how about contractors who specialize in adding square footage or building accessory dwelling units. There's so many different ways to spin the data to whatever niche that you're trying to chase. Now, Keller Williams, Gary Keller, one of my favorite talks last year was the one he did where he was talking about the 4 different kinds of agents. The old school MLS driven agent. On the other end is we never need agents, it's robotics. And we as an industry have to decide if we're going to be a tech-enabled agent or an agent enabling tech. And shoot, he's going to throw
You're speaking my language, buddy. You're speaking my language.
I know the language. You're an exciting brand, and he's really made it a mission not to ignore the technology disruptors. And as a realtor, it's really frustrating. You're looking at these big businesses coming into our space who can apparently work and not make a profit for a decade and still be around, and we just can't do that. So I want to inspire our industry to dream with data, to compete with the disruptors and kill it because you deserve to be there. You are living, playing, giving locally, hiring locally, and that's not what these Wall Street companies are doing. And you're too important to give up. And so there's ways to do it and compete.
Obviously, I agree. So, how have you seen, one of the questions I had actually in my mind when you were talking about the other stuff, how are you getting this data? Like, this is some pretty serious information that you're gathering. How do you get it?
Public records is magical and messy. It comes from various different sources, and part of the job of Property Radar. Sean O'Toole started in the business as a flipper. Up until 2006, he had flipped 150 homes. Wow. And he was one of the few here in California that was like, this doesn't make sense. And he stopped flipping houses to create Foreclosure Radar back in 2006. So he completely disrupted the foreclosure game. But then as foreclosures died down, it really became the game of it was no longer about distressed inventory, foreclosures, REOs, and trustee sales. It was helping people identify opportunities of off-market properties. And this is going to be huge, not just for investors, but for realtors moving forward. That's where the game's going to happen. So as you look at iBuyers and stuff, but public records is the way to get to that data. You buy it from multiple sources. Some of it's free, but it's organizing it and making it actionable, which is the big play. So it's multi-sourced, it's baked off, it's back-tested and back-filled. It's no small feat.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's not. All kinds of algorithms and things like that. Now, I had invested. It's funny. I invested in one of these companies. I don't remember the name of it a while back, probably about 5-6 years ago, something like that. And this is when it was first coming out, basically the data-driven, hey, why would you want to send a postcard out to 200 people? Why not send them out to 50 people that really matter, or that really are showing all the signs basically from their searches that they do, from what they're saying on Facebook, from what they're doing here, how their buying patterns are. And we tried it. I did try it for a little bit. It was very costly at that time. I don't know what it costs now today for this stuff, but it wasn't perfected yet. It really wasn't. And I think it's one of those things that I knew that this was going to be a big thing. And now I think it's perfected now. I mean, you guys, there's companies now like yourself, and obviously I think yours is probably going to be better than anybody's because that's why you're on the show. I think there's a lot to this. It's how everybody is shopping today. They know what we're doing, where we're doing it, and how we're doing it. That's it. They said that's why Amazon bought, what did they buy? They bought the grocery store, that one grocery store. And they did that because they wanted to see the buying patterns of people in a grocery store. I mean, that to me is incredible.
You know what? And I would also venture that real estate matters, local matters.
Absolutely.
That was, I agree. That was a very interesting move, and having that local footprint is really critical. You look at, across the board, I just think real estate is going to continue to be here and be an important part of wealth building and a mix. And with interest rates being at lifetime long lows, I love talking to millennials who give you grief about, oh my God, interest rates went up 0.1% today. And you're like, I always tell people, my dad refinanced the primary residence of our family in 1980 at 17.5% to become a full-time real estate investor. So
he could have gotten an adjustable at 12%. He could have gotten an adjustable rate at 12%. I mean, come on. Yeah, it is incredible.
Oh my goodness.
We have it so good.
The industry has just gotten very technology driven, and we just have to get good with data. And I want to say, it's not just about direct mail. Part of what PropertyRadar does is has email and phone numbers as well. So I have people who use the data who do nothing else but call. Very hyper localized lists that matter to their niche. If you specialize in seniors or veterans, and you just love to get on the phone and you're so good at it, you do you.
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
a really great, great metaphor of chocolate versus peanut butter, and it's when the marriage of those two come together that it's the most special. And peanut butter is the data. Chocolate is what you bring to the table.
Interesting. I like that. Yeah. I like that. That's a good one. I might use that. So if I steal that from you, you know that I've stole it from you. Okay, I'll give you credit for it. I like
good
that.
To me.
Yeah, that's because it's funny too. I love Reese's peanut butter cups too. So you're speaking the other language there too. So
food is love, buddy. Food is love.
Yes, it is. So what else do you want to talk about today? I just love where this conversation's going with different things. How's COVID impacting real estate? What do you think? I mean, we know what we see on our local level. What are you seeing anywhere else?
Part of our core of PropertyRadar and part of our history has been in foreclosures. Sean was on 60 Minutes a long time ago, and I know the media is going to be talking a lot about foreclosures. And unfortunately, for us, I'd love to tell you, buckle up, prepare for a wave of foreclosures. This is going to be another 2007, 8. But we're just not seeing that in the data. So I think off-market is going to continue to be a really important lead source for our industry. Sure, we're going to have we're going to have some foreclosures. The first ones to come through, when allowed to, nationwide, will be the pre-COVID foreclosures that just got stopped up. And then after that, we really have to think about, it doesn't matter what party affiliation you belong to. Does it really make sense that we're going to foreclose on everybody in a national pandemic that's nobody's fault? It's just going to be hard to stomach. And with the GSEs doing so many of the loans, I just have a feeling that the government is going to throw a lot of resources to try to. I agree. Look at all if you bought in early 2000, are you sitting, 2020, are you sitting on equity?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We have never gone back to 2006 where we were giving loans to people that just breathed.
Exactly. Yeah,
everybody qualifies.
I use the same, and I use it all the time. And I tell our agents here, I'm 28 years in the business, and I tell our agents all the time. I said, look, this is not 2006. It's totally different. This was driven because of a virus. It's not driven because there was bad decisions made. It's not driven because banks are giving loans to people that are dead. It's driven because it's because of a virus. We had a great thing going, and now all of a sudden it just got slowed up a little bit. So it'll come back.
Well, and then some of us in unique areas where there's sort of like that rural or suburban play, and where all of a sudden you've got these tech companies that are allowing you to live anywhere. I lived in New York City. I know what that's like, and I can't imagine living there right now. And I know a lot of people that are being forced to other markets. And here in California, it's been interesting to talk to agents I know in places like San Diego and Palm Springs that are the recipient of the Bay Area people who now can live wherever they want, and they're looking at lifestyle. And I think that's really a trend in the realtor space. Is we're not, especially with millennials. You are selling a lifestyle, not just a shelter. Yep. And that's something that technology is going to have a hard time with. So when you're working with a millennial who it's like, I'm looking for something historic and this is the style preference that I'm in and I want to be in a walkable neighborhood close to restaurants.
Yeah, exactly.
In my mind, I know realtors to send to when somebody wants to talk about a historic property buy or somebody who specializes in first-time buyers that is patient and has the resources to get them first-time buyer credits and loan programs and all that. Like in my brain locally, just have that cemented who I'm going to refer, because referrals, you want to look like a badass when you give referrals.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. No, it's so true.
Our job is in the realtor space is to be that referral.
And that's also where the computer just cannot mimic what we do as realtors or what we do as people in this business. It just doesn't work, and that's, yeah, it's good stuff. So anything else you want to talk about before we finish up this podcast? Believe it or not, we've been talking for over 15 minutes. It's incredible how fast it goes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I really enjoy what you're doing. So give me like your ending comments.
I want to just say as we go into 2021, and it looks like the iBuyer trend, including Keller Williams, has been threatening they've been testing to come out with their own iBuyer model. Just be very clear on what that is and make sure you have real estate investors in your back pocket. A lot of these iBuyers are going to be focused on very easy transactions. If they've got people or property issues, they're going to be doing the easy ones. Yeah. If you're familiar with the HomeVestors brand, the We Buy Ugly Houses, they buy ugly houses. That's their model. iBuyers are really buying the easy houses. Just get very clear. Don't be afraid of it. Understand where they plan to play and figure out how to either leverage them in your business or work around them efficiently. Just focus on the data.
That's really cool. Good information, really good information. And did I tell you this in the beginning here? When I was looking up your name, you do know that Chuck Norris's brother's name is Aaron Norris, right?
I was part of the Actors Union and had to go by my full birth name because, yes, he was already in the union.
Yeah, and he's a stunt man, too. I learned so much. And it's funny, I started reading about this Aaron Norris, and I'm like, this isn't the right guy. This is Chuck Norris's brother. So I just thought I'd let you know that. I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it, Aaron. And I wish you all the success and everything that you could ever have. So I appreciate you being on the show, and I will talk to you hopefully sometime soon again.
Sounds good, Brad. Thanks so much.
All right, take care. Well, there you have it. There was Aaron Norris from Los Angeles, California, probably the furthest away guest that I have had. So that was really cool. And we got hooked up through what's called Kitcaster. It's a podcast agency. And I want to say thanks for getting us together is what I wanted to say. So thanks so much for listening. This is Brad Weisman, and you're listening to Real Estate and You. Are your kitchen and bathroom remodels a little overdue? Well, now's your chance to call First Response Contracting. John Sellers will take care of you. 484-256-7136. They do residential and commercial, and they're licensed and insured. Give them a call at 484-256-7136.